Should you give yourself forgiveness or do you need hardcore accountability for what you're doing? I see a lot of women struggle with is that perfectionism piece. It's black or it's white. I'm on top of the world or an absolute failure. There has to be room in the middle. Do not say I can't finish or I have to quit or I knew I couldn't do it. Don't say those things because I gave you a get out of jail free card. I don't want you to throw in the towel. That's counterproductive. That will not make you love and respect yourself more. That will not make you see yourself more beautiful on the outside or the inside, right? So what we want to do is push pause on those behaviors and realize, in that scenario, that's where self-forgiveness is the best case scenario. Should you give yourself forgiveness, grace, patience, another try, or do you need hardcore accountability for what you're doing? When you mess up, when you're trying to do a thing, when you're trying to go after a goal, what should you do? Now, we're going to talk about the answer today as it applies to our #8Beautiful challenge, because there are some challenges out there that are hardcore. If you mess up 1%, 1 minute, 1 ounce, then you start over as if you've done no good to yourself. You start all the way over. And there is a time and a place and sometimes a season where you just need to say, no matter what, I'm all in. I want to watch myself do absolutely 100% of the thing that I committed to, right? And so there is a time and a place for that. And yet that's something that I see a lot of women struggle with is that perfectionism piece. It's black or it's white. I'm on top of the world or an absolute failure. There has to be room in the middle. Most of the room is in the middle. Our lives are in the middle of absolutely winning on top of the world, best ever, and just crashing in the dirt, worst ever, right? And so since the majority of our time in our life and our feelings and our thoughts and our existence is tied up in this middle space, let's make it more pleasant. Let's make it more joyful. Let's start seeing ourselves as this person in the middle in a positive light. And so when we talk about accountability or forgiveness, there can be a moment for each for you and a time for each for you. And you know what? Here's the big secret, and it's the one no one wants to hear. You actually know. Oh, nobody likes to self-reflect. Everybody's like, tell me the plan, tell me the steps, what's the secret sauce, what's the recipe? The recipe is you gotta tune into you, because your higher self knows, should you have kept yourself on track? Really? Could you have done better? Should you have pushed a little bit harder and done that thing so that you could just feel accomplished? Or is today the day that's like, you know what? You gave your best. You're gonna have to give your best again tomorrow. We're gonna call it good. We're gonna focus on what we did good. We're gonna love ourselves. We're gonna appreciate what we did do and the efforts we did put in. And even as I speak that, I get a little bit of emotion coming up for myself, just because I know that is a skill. Seeing yourself with positivity and optimism is a skill that you can develop. And so if you're like, oh, I always beat myself up, I'm down on myself, I trash talk myself, so negative to myself, those things can exist. They do exist by default. Our subconscious looks for the worst to protect us, right, from worst case scenarios, so we stay alive, right? But we don't have to live there. We don't have to live there. We can choose. And so as we talk about accountability and self-forgiveness, let me just remind you of how this challenge is set up. So if you do 8 items for 8 weeks, every single day of the week, there are 448 items in which you may check a box if you are going to complete the full #8Beautiful challenge for the entire time and participate at 100% accuracy, involvement, completion. Then you would have 448 boxes to check if you did it 100% complete. However, I also find that as you develop yourself, your capacity to do big, challenging things, some people call them hard things. I choose to not. I don't want to do hard things. I just want to enjoy things. I may have a challenge, but and it may feel hard sometimes, but I don't want to label things as hard. We've talked about that before. So if you do this big thing that requires 448 check boxes, I want you to know that sometimes your best is good enough. If your best really was I just couldn't read today, or I just couldn't do my second exercise today. Or if you're on petite and you're like, oh, I went over my carb setting that I had for myself today. I don't want you to throw in the towel and camp out with your fridge doors open over the weekend and then be like, I'll start again Monday. That is when accountability is not necessarily serving you. If you're like, yep, I screwed up, I'm done, um, let's just start again Monday, but then you consume like 7,000 extra calories over the weekend while you're kind of licking your wounds and getting ready for Monday. That's counterproductive. That will not make you love and respect yourself more. That will not make you see yourself more beautiful on the outside or the inside, right? So what we want to do is push pause on those behaviors and realize, in that scenario, that's where self-forgiveness is the best case scenario. Sometimes we're humans. We're going to have flaws. We're going to mess up, especially as we learn. We're here on this planet to learn. So by definition, if we're doing life right, you'll be better next week and next month and next year than you are today. So that when you get to next year and look back, you'll be like, oh, dang, I've come so far, right? You can't come far without learning, and you can't learn without figuring what doesn't work, right? So the beating yourself up, that's optional. I recommend against it. The learning is necessary, right? The building of the skill, the building of the consistency. So if you find yourself where you gave your best effort, that you emotionally could, or that you physically could, or that you mentally could, because all of us, as we do challenging things, including this challenge, the challenging part is not the things to do. The challenging part is inside of our own head, right? The challenging part is going against what we think is normal for us, our past identity. I always flake out on things. I never finish things. I always fall out of my diet. I always gain the weight back. What are the things that we assume in our head that we're like, we're going to try to do this thing, and consciously we're like, let's go. But then in the back of your mind, you got this little trash talker. I call her Raz. I'll have some fun. I'll share some videos with Raz. But Raz is like, stay the same, stay safe, don't change. It's only temporary. You're never going to stick to it. Just cut it out, right? Like, just get it over with, right? Just quit, right? These are the voices that in our head probably, like, you're not an exerciser. You're not a finisher, right? Let me tell you one way that I combated voices in my head, because I know that they're there, and I don't pay them much heed, but I'm vigilant because I know that they can creep in. And so discouraging voices, things that try to make you quit or try to tell you that you're not that person that can nail it and succeed, right? Those voices are in all of us, and that's another area where we can practice gratitude, because believe it or not, they do serve us. These opposing thoughts do serve us. They give us something to push against, and to realize, hey, there's a choice here. It's part of our free will to oppose that voice. I don't know if you understand how valuable those negative voices can be for you. But one instance where I was a little nervous is, you may notice it says Ragnar. If you're not familiar, Ragnar is a 200-ish mile race that's done by a team of 12. And it's a kind of a 24-hour type of a gig. You're running all through the day, through the night, and each person takes between 3 and 10-ish miles of a leg. They split the race up depending on if there's hills and who the better runners are, things like that. Anyway, so I am not a runner. That's not in my identity. I can run if needed, apparently, because I'm sporting this here shirt. But anyway, I don't consider myself a runner. I had some past medical conditions that contraindicated me running, and so I just never built that side of me. Plus, I just didn't think it was that fun. So I'm not a runner, but my friend calls me 3 weeks before the Ragnar 2019, and she says, hey, one of our teammates fell out. We need somebody. Do you want to come in? And I'm like, well, I don't run. She's like, yeah, but you're fit. You can just do it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I could run a mile. And I promptly, like after I hung up from her, I'm like, can I run a mile? And I went to the gym and on the treadmill, and I tested myself, like, can I even run a mile? And I could, and I was like pleasantly surprised. Here's another thing on the accountability side. You probably are more capable than you may believe, or you may have experience with yourself. You probably haven't shown yourself your best work. So keep that in mind when you think you're at the end and you got nothing else to give, and nothing, and you're like, I can't do it. There's no way I could check this box today. I beg to differ. Your protection mechanisms kick in and they mess with your head. But anyway, just know you probably can do more than you think. Just like I could run that mile, I was floored. I posted about it on Facebook because I'm like, I had no idea I could run a mile without stopping. I was as amazed as anyone. So anyway, so I built myself up. I practiced. I had only 3 weeks to really learn how to run and not embarrass myself and not drag my team down, right? I had this pressure. So I focused and I consistently practiced, and I built myself up to a level that I felt comfortable showing up for my team. So anyway, I get there the morning of race day, and they have a tent with all the cool merchandise. And there was only a handful of these finisher shirts. And I was worried that with hundreds of runners milling around, like, they're gonna sell out of this shirt. And I had not run the race yet, but I was like, I intend to finish. And when I finish, I want me that shirt. So what did I do? I bet on myself and I went and bought my shirt. And before I ever run my race, I invested in myself and I bought my ridiculously expensive t-shirt. I mean, it's kind of silky, but it's not a $50 or $60 t-shirt if I'm shopping for myself normally, but this was meaningful to me. And so I bought this finisher shirt, and every step as I ran each of my 3 legs, I knew that I was earning the right to wear this shirt for the rest of my life. I've never done a Regnar since. I don't know if I ever will. Never say never, but it's not my list. It's not in my intention. But when I showed up and I intended to finish, and I did the thing start to finish, and I did finish. And when I got done, you better believe I put that shirt on right away. I claimed this label as a finisher. I made it part of my identity. I claimed it actually before I finished the thing. Did you hear that? I claimed my label as finisher before I finished the thing. My intention was focused, and then you just fill in the blank with action. You decide what you're doing. Deciding is often the hardest part. You just decide, and then you just fill the time in before the end with the action that it takes. You know what you need to do for you. Do you need to push hard? Do you need to show yourself that you can execute, that you can check every box? Is that what's going to build you? Or do you need to use some of those 8 forgiveness pieces that I gave you out of the 448? And do you need to say, you know what? I'm proud of the work I did today. I can see that I'm growing. I can see that I'm progressing. And I'm going to honor that and respect it. And I'm going to write the rest off. I don't even care what else is left. I have worn this shirt to give me like the juju, the mojo of finishing, when I have sat down at my desk and I've built websites or I've built apps and I've done things that are hard and my brain was frying. I put on this shirt when I had a challenging situation to deal with, and I knew that it was going to take my best effort. And if I didn't declare myself a winner before I went into the arena, maybe it was not going to happen, but I was not leaving that to chance. I label me. You label you. I label me. We are in charge of that. That is a piece of our free will. And so, do you need accountability? What label do you need? Do you need the label that says, I absolutely finish what I start? If I choose to do a thing, I can nail that thing 100%. I can rely on me. I can trust me. My word is good, especially my word to me. How does that build you? How does that strengthen you? How does it empower you? Forget everything else about women's empowerment and all those things. How do you empower yourself? By keeping your word to yourself. There is no substitute for that. That will build self-image and confidence like no other. Practice saying you're going to do a thing and doing the thing. So maybe you get excited in the beginning and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm excited about this challenge. And then as with anything, that initial honeymoon phase, that burst of energy, that piece that gets us into motion, that motivation, of course it's going to level off. We're not designed to operate high level, super excited, like long term. right? It's not supposed to be sustainable. It's to move us into action. So once that fades, can you hold? Or maybe another time you're going to do this challenge full on, and this time you're going to drop from full down to petite. That's still a win. Because why? Because you're still moving. I want you not stuck. I want you moving. This challenge is about moving in the right direction. So many women feel stuck. Maybe they start, they feel like they can't progress, and then they just end up with stuckness again. No, 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 please, I beg you, do not use the challenge this way. Don't use anything in your life to drag you down, to make you see yourself as lesser or full of shortfalls. Only use that perspective if it drives you to get back up again and to walk again. This challenge is to help you go from where you are to moving forward, or moving forward faster. If you already have some good habits and you're like, I can check every box every day, it's fine. I'm just kind of doing this for fun because I just never tracked it before. I have some high-level people that are playing in this game and it's fun. And they're like, yeah, I'm doing all the things. It's not that hard, right? I want you to arrive there. I want every woman that does this challenge to arrive at that place. Maybe you do it more than once. Maybe you adapt. Maybe you're like, you know what? My life is crazy. I'm maxed out. I can't handle anymore. I know some of the women in this room, in this challenge, suffer from up and down moods, from anxiety, from depression, from overwhelm, from loneliness, from just not knowing what direction to go. And maybe you raised your hand to participate in this challenge just because you want some level of structure. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with my life. And there's something. Okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe you're the one that said, maybe I can do this. And you jump in and you're like, shoot, here's another thing that I'm not gonna do. And then you drag yourself down. That is not what to do. So what do you do in that circumstance? That is when you do use the forgiveness and you say, my effort today was good enough. I think I got more in me for tomorrow. Let me see what I got in me tomorrow. We're not gonna throw it out. We're not gonna quit. Did you know that you can complete this challenge even if you don't check a single box? Even if you need more than 8 forgivenesses, did you know you can complete this? How? By sticking in there and just not giving up, by attempting each day to check one box. Now, I know that life gets crazy and there's so many demands. As women, we're pulled all these different directions and it can be hard to check a single box. So I gave you some super easy ones. So do not say, I can't finish, or I have to quit, or I'm throwing in the towel, or I knew I couldn't do it. Don't say those things because I gave you a get out of jail free card. Get out of the jail in your head. Get out of jail free card. You can take a selfie and you can check a box, and you can check a box every single day. You can turn on a podcast and listen while you drive down the road and you can check that box. You can check some super easy boxes. I encourage you to move. I know you'll feel better. You'll respect yourself more. You'll be proud of yourself. Your body will feel better. Your hormones will change. Your chemicals, your dopamine, your feel-good mood chemicals in your blood will change if you move your body. That's one reason I want you to move your body. I don't care if you get X% body fat, or if you get ripped, or if you get, X amount of pounds or whatever size. Those are awesome. Yeah, and I know that's a lot of your goals, but I just want you moving. I want you moving in a way that you respect. So if you use all of your maybe you have 8 check boxes and 440 unchecked boxes at the end of the challenge. But if you consistently look at, I'm setting out to check as many boxes as I feel like I can today, and I'm gonna just be gentle and kind to myself, forgiving yourself and allowing yourself immediately to pick yourself up off the ground and start again, even if it's 10:04 in the morning, even if it's 3:22 in the afternoon. If you can learn to just say, you know what, I'm gonna forgive everything that happened before this moment. It's all the past. Anything before right now is just the past, right? If you can say, whatever that was, I accept it. I love me, I did as good as I could. But starting at 3:23, Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check one more box today. That is how forgiveness is to be used. Can you use it to build momentum? Because if you check 3 days of just taking a selfie, if you check that box 3 days in a row, if that was challenging for you, what does that do? What does that do to your self-image? You start to be like, I do check boxes every single day. I am consistent. I didn't know. What if I could do 5 days? What if I could take a selfie and go for a walk? What if I could just pause and pick the hard-boiled egg instead of the candy bar? One time. If we're throwing out, if it's too hard to do all the logging and the counting and the big things, if that's too much for you, do something. Show yourself progress. Maybe all of it's easy, and maybe you're like, I want dramatic transformation. If you want dramatic transformation like what I experienced in my 8 weeks, you can have that too. You are gonna need to be accountable to yourself. You are gonna need to just be in that space of all inness. And I will tell you, this is interesting because a lot of the success materials out there say it starts with a decision. You have to first you decide, and then you make a plan, and then you take action. And it's really interesting because that's my background, and that's how I've been trained, and I've read a lot of books, and there seems to be a lot of evidence for that. And I wonder though, and this was actually one of the key reasons that I built this challenge differently for women, I wonder if that's more of like a masculine approach, as in maybe it's better for men, maybe it's just personality styles. But I've used that decision-making process before. We're gonna do this, and we have a plan, we're gonna execute, we're gonna have success. And I have a room full of awards from sales, from achievements, from all kinds of stuff. And I've used that strategy and it works well. But this time it was different. When I decided to jump into my multi-week life-changing challenge, there was not actually a decision point. So let me tell you this in case if you're like, oh, I just can't decide and draw the line and go. Maybe you don't need to. So I want to make this available as an option for you, because as women, we lean into our intuition a little bit more, or we're learning to do that maybe. We go with feelings because emotions can knock us off so easily, right? That's just how we're built and designed. We can be swayed by emotion. We can also be swayed into good things by emotion, right? So we want to watch that and manage that at a high level. But when I took on the challenge that was my dramatic transformation, I watched a video and learned about the steps and like, okay, if I'm gonna do this thing, here's how I do it. And then I just started wondering, I wonder if I should do it. And then the logic kicked in. There's lots of reasons to not take something on right now. I'm under a lot of stress. My husband's about to go out of town. My time's limited. I'm not gonna be able to cook. I travel a lot. Like all the reasons, like it doesn't really make sense to take on a big thing. And what I chose to do, I knew I was gonna either do it 100% or not do it. I built myself to the level that I can do that successfully. And so I was back and forth, and so that was a Sunday night. And then Monday morning, I was still like, I wonder if I should take this on. And there was just something in me that was like, you should do this, and you should do this right now, today, now. And I'm like, but I haven't planned anything. I don't have any meals planned. I don't have any workouts planned. But I just started doing some of the things that I knew, like, well, if I were gonna do it, then I would check these boxes off, right? Like, if I were gonna say I was doing it, I would do these things. So let me just do a couple of the things. And I work out one workout a day normally. So I did my one workout, and I took a picture, and I did a handful of things, and then I made a post on Facebook, and I didn't say I'm doing this. I said, I think I might do this big thing. And it was like a question of like, is anybody with me? And hands went up, comments went up. That's awesome. You can do it. I'll do it with you. All that kind of stuff. And so there was some momentum and energy. And by like 2 p.m, I was like, I guess I'm doing this. I never had a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna do this thing. I just kind of felt into it and leaned into it. I was kind of like told I was paying attention to how I feel. And I'm like, but this doesn't make any sense. Sometimes those good decisions for us don't make a lot of sense. Um, you know, I can't explain it. Just listen to you, listen to your own intuition. It's a gift. It's sacred, and so honor that. If it means that you get up out of bed and do another workout after you're already in bed for the night, or if you're in bed for the night and you're like, I'm gonna call this day a win, and I'm gonna close the book on today, and I'm gonna start it fresh tomorrow. Both can be the right answer, right? So yeah, so I felt into the challenge, and I think that's as important of a piece, if not more important than deciding. So sometimes, you have this yin and yang of energies, right? We all have some masculine, they call it, is a way to describe this kind of energy and decision-making process and thinking and feeling. And then the feminine. All men have masculine and feminine energies, and so do women have like two sides of ourselves. Sometimes we need to show up and we need to be a warrior, and we need to look at the numbers and the data, and we need to draw a line and do not cross my line, right? Sometimes we need to be that warrior. And sometimes we just need to be like, I love you, come give me a hug. It's gonna be good, it's gonna be good. It's all, we'll just let everything go, and we're just gonna have peace and calm and inhale, right? So we get to choose both. Everybody's got both. And so my decision-making process, if you're referring to the energetic properties of how I took on my challenge, was much more feminine, much more emotion and kind of like leaning in and testing, does this feel right? Yeah, doesn't make sense, but it feels right. Okay, I guess we're doing it. And then as I progressed throughout that day, I had tremendous obstacles. I had an entire staff walk out on me the next day. My husband went out of town and my son broke his leg. And I mean, just goodness gracious, like obstacles will test you. They will test your resolve. Oh yeah, you said you wanna level up. Let's see what you got, right? Sometimes we need to be like, despite the win, despite the objections, I'm doing this. And there came a point in that day where I kind of leaned into the feeling, but once I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. I suppose you could say there was a decision in that moment of, I guess I'm doing this. That was the no turning back for me. But it wasn't like, it wasn't analyzed. It was like, it wasn't, can you see the difference? Can you see the difference where I flipped the switch and I knew, if I guess I'm doing that, that was my hardcore decision. And that propelled me to 100% accountability, 100% accuracy and adherence to what I set out to do. And dramatic results for me followed that. Which I'm happy to share, because that influences others. Your transformation will influence others, even if it's from stuck to 1 mile an hour. That is a transformation that will inspire everybody that's not going 1 mile an hour. So the work you're doing, while it's good for you, it's not just for you. You can't help but influence those around you. Your energy is too big and too strong. You are too important to not influence those around you. You do. So do something you're proud of. Do something that will inspire others to go from stuck to moving. You have a tremendous role. You have a tremendous role. I hope you are discovering that more and more, how powerful and influential and impactful your decisions, your mood, your self-concept are. As you do this challenge, as you weigh accountability, forgiveness, as you increase what you're able to display as your best effort, as your best version of you showing up, you're gonna impress a lot of people. You're gonna impress you. And that is what I want for you. I want for you to see yourself beautiful. I want you to see your vast abilities and what you can grow into, instead of just limitations and past. The past may be irrelevant. You could decide to be a totally different person today. It doesn't matter if you never stuck to anything in your life. there's always a first time for everything, right? What if this is your first time to make you the proudest, bestest, happiest, most impressed with you that you've ever been? What if this is the time? What if this is the turning point? What if this is the moment where you say, you know what? In the past, I may have needed a lot of forgiveness, but I don't think I need to be that gentle with myself anymore. I think I can level up. I think now is the moment that I can level up and step up. I think I'm going to do that, right? What if that's what's meant for you in this moment? I want you to consider that. What if this whole time you could do so much more than you assumed that you could, and you just never had the chance? Use this challenge as a chance to display to yourself, to demonstrate to yourself how much more you can do than you thought you could. What if you used it for that? What if you didn't need accountability? You just want to have fun checking boxes. What if we don't have to force ourselves? What if we don't have to push ourselves? What if we're just like, I'm playing the coolest game ever. It's going to transform my body. It's going to make me happy. It's going to make me think better thoughts because I'm doing this personal development. I'm drinking this water. So I'm like detoxing my body. I'm feeling super strong because I'm like lifting some heavy things. I'm going for a walk. I'm doing my blood pumping. I'm happy. I'm talking to cool women that are also doing this with me. Like, what if you're just like, this is just the best game I ever played. I never want to stop playing it. I'm gonna play games and games, and I just get it. I check these boxes. It makes me happy. What if it was all just a game instead of like this? Oh, I have to do it. I don't even like calling this a challenge sometimes, because that just kind of infers that it might be hard, or might be difficult, or might be struggle, or it might be not fun. Oh, what if it was like the hashtag 8 Beautiful fun time, the 8 Beautiful games instead of the 8 Beautiful challenge? Labels and words are so important. So label yourself a finisher. Claim the label before you finish your race, and then finish it however it looks to you. I could have walked across the finish line. I've seen people finish Ironmans crawling, like very, in one way, undignified, but there's something very dignified about crawling over a finish line with absolutely every last ounce of effort you have. I don't think you're going to need absolutely every last ounce of effort that you can muster to do this. This challenge is meant to be supporting you while you're living life and pushing you to the next level if you want to do the full challenge and really kind of extend yourself, grow yourself, expand yourself. We're all about our souls want to expand. So when you do those things that are in alignment, when you check the boxes you set out to check, you bring yourself into alignment, and that's why it feels good. Because you're on track for your potential, and your higher self knows there's lots more where that came from. So if we got to get this piece together so we can continue to rise, then that's what we got to do. So this is why I support you. Claim your label. If finishing means that all you're going to do is take a selfie and check a box every day till the end of the finish line of this challenge, do that. If you can do more, do that. Impress yourself. Love yourself. Forgive yourself. Nudge yourself forward, right? That's what we're doing. We're all doing the same thing in the room. Everybody has their own limit. Everybody has their idea of how much they can do, where hard starts, like easy automatic is here, and then at some point we're like, oh, now it's tough. Everybody has their line of where things get tough. It's all in our head. It's all relative to what you're used to and how you've built yourself in the past. So whatever that is, keep pushing. How you expand your comfort zone, how you expand what you're capable of, is by continuing to nudge and to do something that's a little bit stretchier, a little bit more than what you've done in the past. So do yourself a favor, do that thing, and be proud of you. Okay? Clear as mud? Does everybody know exactly when to hold yourself accountable and when to just forgive yourself and just be at peace with what is, right? Hopefully you do both every single day. Hopefully you exercise your free will, which says I can give up or I can inhale and do this. It's much easier to take fast action than to think about it all day and all that. That's one reason I like working in the morning. I just don't think about it too much, and then I get it done and I check the box and I'm like, I get to feel good all day. I get to celebrate all day that I did the things, right? Find what keeps you in momentum. Find what works for you. Find what makes these healthy habits that you could continue long after this challenge is done, how do they fit into your life? Explore that, find that, nudge yourself forward. Don't be stuck. You have a choice. You can move. You can watch yourself move and be like, good job, babe. Okay. Pinky promise me that you will move. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna feel like there was some kind of commitment made. I hope you did. I hope you did. You can rewind the pinky promise if that's helpful. If you didn't actually commit, I'll give you a second chance. Right? Forgiveness. You can commit when you're ready. But this is what I want for you, is to, no matter what, whether you need accountability or whether you need forgiveness, that you feel like you are growing and progressing and becoming more of who you really are, because you are infinite. I want you to learn that. I want you to feel that. I want you to display that you understand that, and that you are growing into that amazing version of you that is waiting. Okay. Thank you for joining me today. I love you. I will see you next time.